everybody, welcome back to HMA Gallery. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So we are still on quarantine with this whole coronavirus going around and we're getting a little antsy. So I thought to switch things up a little bit that we would go with a different art medium, and instead of doing drawing or painting or something like that, we are going to be working with edible art. I'm going to be teaching you guys today how to make a mini decorated cake. So we are going to be doing what I call a semi-homemade cake. You're going to need these ingredients over here. You're going to need a box cake mix, whatever your favorite flavor is. I wanted to do chocolate today, so I'm going to do chocolate. And then all the ingredients that it lists on the back, which today it says water, vegetable oil, and 3 eggs. But instead of the water, we are going to substitute that with original almond milk, because milk or almond milk gives it a little bit richer, bolder flavor than just regular water. So the first thing we need to do is open our box cake mix and add in all of our ingredients just like it says. Once we're done stirring, we are going to have to grease and line our little mini cake pans. I have these little mini pans. I believe they are 6 inches. I want to say they're 5 or 6 inches. They're Wilton because they're much easier to work with. If you get a higher quality pan, it's much easier to for the cake to bake evenly and to pop it out at the very end. These are already non-stick. However, just to be on the safe side, I always flour and line my cake pans just to ensure a smooth pop out at the very end. So in order to do that, we are going to take some margarine or butter on a paper towel, and we're going to wipe down the inside rim only. And we are going to draw and cut 2 perfect circles that fit the bottom of each pan, and then we're going to place those in the bottom before we pour our cake mix inside. This point is our little mini pans that are lined with butter on the edges and covered in flour. And then I took my little parchment pieces that I cut out to fit perfectly in the bottom, and I'm just gonna slide them on the bottom just like that. Now what we're gonna do is divide our batter into 2 equal parts. Try your best to get it as even as possible so the baking will be even. So now I'm going to go ahead and pour in my batter. The general rule of thumb for this is to have your batter fill about halfway to 2/3 of the way inside your pan. That way it leaves room for baking. So I think that's about it, because when I'm looking inside my pans, they look pretty even. All right, so our timer went off. They were in for about 30 minutes. I had to bump it up a few more minutes. And now, as you can see, you take any old toothpick, stick it in the center, pull it out, and it comes out clean, so you know they're done. So we're gonna take these out of the oven, set them up here, and then we are gonna let them cool off before we pop them out of our pans. These have come out of the oven and cooled a little bit. We're gonna take a plain butter knife. We're gonna run it around the edge lightly, just to be sure it detaches. We're gonna take this and we're gonna flip it over on top of our cooling rack. 1, 2, 3. And then it slides right off, just like that. All right, so I'm gonna do that to both of them. And then, after they cool a little longer, I'm gonna stick them in the fridge and let them cool overnight before we do anything else with them. Because to make our buttercream icing, we are going to use 2 sticks of butter. Pour them in. They're softened. You don't want to melt them. They can't be liquid. They just have to be soft. Then we're going to use 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract for flavoring. Do 1. And then I think I'm going to do a half of 1. Okay. Then we're going to blend that for a few seconds. So this is about what it should look like right now. Just whipped butter right now with a little bit of vanilla. Now we're going to take and add 4 cups of powdered sugar. We're going to do it about a half a cup at a time. 1, half, 1, half, 2. And then we're going to stop and blend once again. Okay. So this is what it looks like so far, right in here, just like that. Now we're going to add 2 more cups, half a scoop at a time. 2. All right, so our ratio here is 2 whole sticks of unsalted butter, softened, 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 4 cups of powdered sugar. And then we just blend smoothly. And then we will have our beautiful, ready to spread vanilla buttercream icing. All right, so now we are going to be working on putting the vanilla buttercream onto our chocolate cake. We're going to start building the structure so we can add our fondant decorations in a little bit. So I have my helper with me today. This is my daughter Daphne, and she's going to be helping me with the icing on the cake today. So the first thing that we need is a big spatula of some sort, and we are going to be putting a glob of icing on top before we start spreading it, because you don't want to have it too thin or you're going to end up smearing some of the chocolate into the icing, and then that's when it gets all crumbly and hard to spread. So we're going to move this cake out of the way and put it over here on another plate, just like this, off to the side. And we're going to center this one up onto our cake plate, like so. All right, Miss Daphne.
Mom, this feels like a plastic spoon.
It's not plastic, so please don't put your hand on the blade. It's a butter knife.
I'm not touching that part, I'm just touching this.
All right, go ahead and start spreading it gently on top.
Keep getting icing.
It's all right. Is it good?
And
The
the
way
taste
it
tester.
looks. All right, so now that we have a nice even layer, we're gonna take our other cake, we're gonna flip it over so the flat side is on top. And another thing I forgot to tell you guys, I took a knife, once again for my younger viewers, please make sure you get an adult to help you with this part. And I sliced it across the top. So you know how it bubbles up when you pull it out of the oven? We just sliced that top layer off so it's nice and flat. So now, I'll put it down like so. And now we're gonna add some globs of icing. Daphne, if you'll do the honors.
Okay.
That's a good start. So once you have a nice big glob of vanilla, no. Don't lick the spoons or spatulas until you're all done. Okay? Or our fingers. We're supposed to be washing our hands. Butter knife is easier to work with, and you gently smooth
Are
it
we
out
gonna get to eat that?
like this. We will eventually eat the cake. This is our Easter resurrection celebration cake. So now that we have the top all smooth, we're gonna take and put some icing on the sides and smooth that out as well. So I'm just putting some icing on the sides, smoothing it out a little bit, but I'll let Daphne do the majority of the smoothing since she is my baker's assistant today. I need myself a cute little apron like that. I think Aunt Candy got her that apron for her birthday last year.
Yep. whenever we were going to Pino's paint palette.
And we'll have to get Aunt Candy on the show sometime too, because Aunt Candy loves to bake. All right, so here we have our cake with all the icing on, and we smoothed it out as best as me and Daphne could. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna add fondant on top, and that'll cover all the imperfections. So next we have to put this in the fridge, let it chill for about an hour, and then we'll be back to do the decorations. So now we're gonna go ahead and get started with our fondant. What I have today, I bought a regular size box of white, and I wanted to pick two bright springtime colors. So I got pink and I got lime green. And what we're gonna do here is make what's called a marble. So when you first get fondant out of the container, it's always gonna be a little hard. And that's okay. What you have to do is use your clean hands. Always wash your hands with soap and water good before you get started. And then have a nice clean, flat, hard surface to work on. And now we're gonna knead it kind of like clay, or think of it as Play-Doh. So now with the heat of my hands and moving it around on the counter, it's starting to get more and more pliable, which is making it easier to work with. So I'm gonna set this aside for a minute, and I'm gonna get out my pink, a little bit of pink, and a little bit of green. I'm going to start playing with the green and kneading it to get it nice and smooth and pliable, just like the other. Like I said before, the consistency that we're going for here is gonna be that of Play-Doh. If it's nice and soft and pliable like Play-Doh, then you're ready to work with it. All right, so now that I have my colors all kneaded, I went ahead and I ripped off a little bit of the white, about this much, and I set it aside because I'm going to use that in a little to make our flower that goes on top. So now I'm going to, before I continue, we need to spread cornstarch all over the countertop here, because with the cornstarch, it's going to prevent it from sticking to our countertop, and we don't want it to stick to our countertop. I'm gonna sprinkle it all over our work area, just like this. We are going to pull it oblong. So see how oblong this is? It doesn't have to be perfect, but you wanna make it nice and oblong, like that. I'm gonna take my pink, I'm gonna squeeze it, make it oblong as well. Just keep pinching and pulling like this. I'm gonna put it right up against my white. And then I'm gonna take my green and I'm gonna pinch and pull as well. And I'm gonna put this on the other side of my white. And we're gonna pinch them together like so. See how I did that? All right, push down, push together. We're gonna give it a little twist, pinch it together. Now, the idea here is not to blend all the colors together. What we want to do is just make a swirl. So we're gonna pinch them to get it to stick, which I'm having a little bit of trouble with this fondant today. I think next time I'm gonna take the time to order my favorite brand, because this is giving me a hard time. And we're gonna twist, pinch together, and then we're gonna start kneading it. Knead it together. We have our swirls starting, our marble swirls. So I'm just gonna keep on pushing on that because I really like that color that it made on the top. So just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. Now I'm gonna take our rolling pin. Whew, never thought working on a cake would be so labor intensive. And we're gonna spread out the cornstarch all over our rolling pin so it doesn't stick. Now with gentle pressure, we're gonna roll out this fondant nice and smooth in a big circle, like so. All right, we're getting there. Just like so, okay. See how thin I have it? Go a little thinner over here. You don't want to overwork it, but you want to make sure it's spread out big enough so that you will be able to cover your entire cake. Okay. Now I'm going to go get my cake and we are going to put it on top and smooth it all out. All right, so we have our cold mini cake that we just pulled out of the refrigerator, nice and hard. And now we are going to take this beautiful marbleized fondant and we're going to take our rolling pin and we're going to carefully fold it over the rolling pin like so. I'm going to bring it up and over and carefully lay it out on top of our mini cake. And we want to make sure that all sides are going to be covered. So I noticed this one side is a little shorter, so I'm going to pull it up and over a little more on that side. Now, we gently smooth it out on top, and we start one side at a time. We're going to cut a little longer than the edge of the cake at the bottom. Come around here, smooth it out, smooth it out. Cut. Go ahead and cut this piece and set it aside. Now for this beautiful marbleized look that we got, you could save this for other projects if you want. So I'm going to set it aside instead of just rolling it up. I don't want to just roll it up. Continue down the cake. Just like this. Push it down, cut again. All right. And we're just going to do this all around the edges. So now that we have all that excess fondant set aside, we have this all smoothed out and pushed together and cut evenly on the bottom here. We are going to have to get rid of some of this cornstarch. So in order to do that, we are just going to take a little tiny bit of water. I'm gonna put some water on a paper towel. Now you don't wanna soak it. You do not soak it. Just a little bit of water on a paper towel. I'm gonna gently rub it down. All right, so now what I've done is just gotten my excess vanilla icing that I had left over because I didn't use all of it on my cake, and I put it in a simple piping bag with a simple little small round head. Now, tip, excuse me. And then I'm gonna twist it and I'm just gonna go around and give it little small dots all around the bottom. All right, so the last part of our cake, we are going to be making a giant fondant flower to go on top. I really love the roses, and since this is our first mini cake that we're making together, I wanted to start out simpler. So for the rose, I have a nice little handful of fondant here. Because so much of my cake turned out to be pink and green, I want to highlight the white. So I am going to start out with a little piece here. Now remember, keep your hands clean, add a little bit of cornstarch to keep it from sticking. Make sure you have a cornstarch work area, and that is going to make your life easier. Think of it like like you're playing with Play-Doh. That's the best advice that I can give you if you're a first-time fondant person. And I'm gonna use a toothpick here. So I'm just gonna take a toothpick out. And this is what we're gonna build our fondant flower on. So we have our toothpick, we have our first piece of fondant. We're gonna smooth it out like this. We're gonna gently wrap it around our toothpick like this. Pinch it at the base to make sure it sticks. This is what we are starting. I'm gonna set this aside and we are going to make rose petals. I put a little too much cornstarch on here. So we're gonna make rose petals. You can use a cookie cutter if you'd like, or if you feel like you wanna freehand it, like I think I wanna do today, I'm going to just make some nice rounded petals. I'm gonna push them out nice and thin. Let's see how thick this is. We want it to be as realistic as possible, and we want it to be as thin as possible because flower petals are extremely thin. So in order to do that, we are going to use metal spoons like this, and we're gonna lay them out. I have tablespoons and I have teaspoons, and we're gonna make them nice and thin, and we're gonna lay them inside that spoon just like this, and we're gonna let them dry for a little bit. And Daphne here, my helper, is making her own little fondant flowers. Would you like to tell everyone what you're making?
I'm using these oval shapes like to shape an Easter egg, but I'm using it for a flower instead.
Alrighty.
I don't like it.
So I have the centerpiece here with the toothpick sticking out, and now we're gonna start building our rose. You wanna start with your smaller petals and work your way out. So as I said before, we're gonna use a little bit of water. I'm gonna dip my finger in it, push it on, gently push it up against the other. Then I'm gonna get another petal. Let's see, what's the next smallest one? And then I'm going to put a little bit of water on that. And then gently overlap previous petal and push that on. Then we're gonna take another small petal. So I'm gonna set this down here, and I'm gonna get a cup, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do with that next. All right, so I have a cup, just a shallow little cup. I have some foil. I'm gonna put it on top like this. I'm gonna carefully pick up my rose, and since we have it connected to the toothpick, I'm gonna pop it in. And then I'm gonna have to make that hole a little bit bigger. Use my knife again and just kind of twist. And what we're doing here is we're making the hole just big enough where I'm gonna be able to slip the bottom of our rose down into our foil so that those petals can drape over the foil as they dry. This is where we get into the fun part, and we're able to start ever so carefully manipulating the petals. So this is what we have. And now I'm gonna stick that in the refrigerator for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and check on it and pull it out, and we're gonna manipulate it a little more. All right, so here's our cake. And now I pulled my rose out of the refrigerator. It's nice and cold, and it's maintained its shape. So now I'm gonna carefully lift off the foil part from my cup. and I'm going to carefully grab the bottom where the toothpick was and pull this down just like that. And I want this to be put it right in the center. I'm gonna put this right in the center. I'm just gonna carefully push down. If it doesn't want to go because your bottom piece is too fat, we can always get our knife again. Give it a little twist. Make it where it's gonna fit a little better in there. Okay. So now I'm gonna push down carefully my rose. And then we're gonna open up these beautiful petals. And this is the part where we get to shape it a little bit more. Make it as realistic as possible. So there we have it, our beautiful finished product, our Easter resurrection cake to celebrate Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. So here we have our finished mini cake. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you'll follow along at home. Check out more of my videos, subscribe to HMA Gallery. Take care, have an awesome day. God bless.